Spiritual bypassing doesn't exist.
I think a lot of people use spirituality to stay stuck.
Instead of genuinely working through personal or psychological issues, they bypass them. I want to take it back. I do definitely spiritually bypass. It's one of the most advanced tools. Spiritual bypassing doesn't exist. I don't believe it exists.
Mm,
This topic sounds silly to me. I've never once in my life spiritually bypassed anything, but I hear it
mhm,
all the time. People spiritually bypassing. Are you spiritual bypassing?
mm.
And if you want to know more, listen to this video and we're going to see if it does exist, if it doesn't exist. So I here have my good friend here, Sumed Chatterjee from
Mm.
the Flow Zone Academy, also a YouTube content
Yo,
creator. Welcome to the show again, my friend.
yeah, it's good to be back.
Tell us, what do you think about this? Are you spiritually bypassing, or do you think there's no spiritual bypassing? What is spiritual bypassing in the first place?
Um, I think a lot of people use spirituality to stay stuck. That's my idea, at least, of spiritual bypassing. Um, Generally, like when someone says like, "Oh, you're spiritually bypassing," probably their own stuff going on, their own projections going on. So it's still a kind of it's very meta, bro, because it's like spiritual bypassing on top of spiritual bypassing. So it's like layers of this shit. So I believe that if you're not facing your fears, you are not evolving spiritually. That's just my perspective. Um, if you're not going towards your limits, your potential, then you're kind of just using spirituality to cope.
Hmm.
What's your experience with that?
You said something, the first thing you said is that spirituality, you could use spirituality to avoid something or get stuck in. Can you tell me
Yeah,
about that? What does that mean?
like for instance, well, the one that's immediately coming up is using God as the way as a cop out. Like God told me to do it, or like Source told me to do it, so it must be true. Like using that as the ultimate authority and just like getting away with anything, basically.
Hmm.
So, I mean, most people are selling fantasies, so it's important to like understand what is marketing, what is fantasy, and what is truth, what is real.
Let's ask the AI god, what is spiritual bypassing? I just asked
Sure.
ChatGPT, what is spiritual bypassing?
Hmm.
This is how they define it.
What does it say?
Spiritual bypassing is when someone uses spiritual beliefs or practices to avoid facing uncomfortable emotions, unresolved trauma, or real world responsibilities. Instead of genuinely working through personal or psychological issues, they bypass them by focusing only on positive, enlightenment, or higher consciousness. Some common examples of spiritual bypassing include toxic positivity, which means ignoring negative emotions by insisting on always being love and light,
Hmm. Good vibes
avoidance
only, yeah.
avoidance of personal responsibility, using spirituality to excuse harmful behavior or inaction. Hey, I'm spiritual, don't believe me. And dismissing other suffering, saying things like, everything happens for a reason, bro, instead of offering
Hmm.
real support.
Okay.
Uh, okay,
What's coming up?
I wanna take it back. I do definitely spiritually bypass. Use spiritual bypassing all my life. It's one of the most advanced tools. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah. I mean, what's some
I
examples?
think we all do it unconsciously. Like it's when you're really aware and you're conscious that it actually stops becoming more prevalent, but everybody does it. It's the ultimate cop out. You use spirituality to stop facing shit.
Hmm.
Um,
You know what's interesting? When I first got into spirituality, I felt like I found something other than life. Like there's
mhm,
regular day living, but now I found something. Oh, spirituality is like something outside of
right.
life.
Like a vortex into a different world or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I've bypassed a lot of my life thinking, oh, I'm spiritual, I don't do those things. Or I guess somewhat is true. Like, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do so many things because I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
But Also, it could have some backdoors like, hey, I don't have fun or I don't go out and socialize because I'm spiritual. I've done that.
Right. I think a lot of people confuse fun with avoidance nowadays, like just escapism rather than transcendence, because transcendence is still accepting whatever has happened. It's not like a complete rejection of what's going on, right? So I think once we stay in that acceptance frequency, then we can really stop the spiritual bypassing. Otherwise, we're just going to be in defense mode or coping mode. Like, get that away from me. No, I'll overgeneralize here. I'll use this other distortion here, and just stay in the bubble. Yeah.
Hmm. So, do you spiritually bypass? Where have you spiritually bypassed in the past?
Um, I would say like in the beginnings when I first started channeling, I would like mix in or fuse in, I would notice little bits of my own ego or my own subconscious mind or intuition into the channelings, and they would get fused with the entity's messages. So it'd kind of be this clouded like smorgasbord of like half deity chiming in and half of like Sumed's thoughts like interwoven with it. And so over the years, then I started to get really good at discerning between my voice, my own internal intuition, and the voice of the being. And I slowly started to wean that away. Kind of like when you're going through withdrawal from a drug, it's sort of like that. You wean it away, right? You sort of um, get more aware.
Hmm.
So that's one that's coming up. What have I spiritually bypassed?
Maybe let me continue reading these last two examples. Uh,
Sure. Yeah.
ChatGPT says escapism, which means over relying on meditation, psychedelics, or spiritual retreats to avoid dealing with real life problems. Oh man. And
Yeah.
ego inflation, thinking one is more awakened than others and looking
Yeah.
down on those who are not spiritual enough. Oh no, no. I'm way higher than you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No low vibe people on this channel, please.
yeah, okay, we're too
Get out of
enlightened.
here.
Yeah.
Bro, you have this like Boston accent that sometimes comes out like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy? You know, like, where does that come from, bro? Like,
I don't
that's
know, but
fucking awesome. It's like a
yeah,
part of you.
it's my past life. I was in Boston.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, back to the topic. I think a lot of people they do avoid shadow work in the love and light communities. Like they don't want to face their stuff. Um, I think too much of that is not good either. Like doing so much shadow work that you're just not even living or in the light, or you're just in the abyss, you know?
Mm.
Um, so there's got to be some kind of moderation where we understand that we are spiritually bypassing, but we're conscious enough to auto correct it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about these love and light people. Love and
Yeah.
light, bro. Mm.
It's like the bumper sticker fast food spirituality. It's not really depth.
Mm.
At least the depth which myself and you have gone. We've sort of immersed ourselves into this rather than some people they're like, oh, maybe I should, I don't know, maybe sort of. So,
You said something before the call. You said something about hustle culture.
yeah. Yeah, I was making the statement that hustle culture is dead. Like nobody really it's I mean there are a few group of people attracted by like the grind set, Sigma grind set and all that shit. Those are the younger kids nowadays. I think there's really a moving away from the hustle 24/7, the grind never stop, baby. Like, you know, constant pushing energy rather than pushing and then relaxation, which is the flow cycle. That's actually the performance cycle, right? You got to push and then you got to let go, tap into the zone, and then rest. Most people are just pushing. They're just in struggle mode.
Oof.
They're not letting go. So it's like people have to learn how to surrender, let go a little bit on this process too, but at the same time have discipline and show up. That's like the sweet spot. I've noticed or observed within my own spiritual process. What about you? Have you noticed this hustle culture, or you
Yeah.
drawn to that?
Actually, I just want to ask you some questions about this.
Mhm.
When do you feel like you should rest? Why not just
Oh,
keep pushing? No rest. Keep grinding.
I think your mind and body will know, bro. You'll get brain fog, you'll get insomnia, you'll get random aches and pains. You're like your body and mind will tell you you're going too fast, buddy. Right?
Mm,
You're going way off the deep end now. Yeah. Then your mind is going to show it, your body's going to show signs of it. You just gotta slow it down then in those moments. You need a recovery stage or a rest stage in order to get back to crushing it again. If you keep crushing it, there's not going to be that recharge.
mm,
You're constantly going to be working a huge project and then crashing, working some other huge project. That's going to be your trajectory rather than smooth exponential graph.
mm. Yeah, these past couple of weeks, 2 weeks, I'd say, especially, everything just seemed kind of to slow down and stand still for my YouTube channel, for my life, or for my YouTube channel, we can say. People kind of took a back seat, and I really had no desire or motivation to make videos. And I felt like this is needed. Like, okay, nature is forcing me to stay still or not contribute to this right now. And now it feels like it's picking back up. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely very wise to do these cleanses or
mm,
periods of breaks. Mm,
yeah. Because we're so overstimulated in this day and age too, so it's really important to take time off, like just cleanse the mind. Because I really think your nervous system is a way that you bring in certain beings to work with you. Like a lot of people who work with like mid-astral beings or these war beings, including my partner Ryan G, my business partner Ryan G. He works with more war beings, these like strategic beings, whereas I work with these more so ascended masters and like higher light beings. I just wondered why that is. It's just his mind works differently, and so he's going to magnetize different beings towards him. And I've noticed that too. Like in my past, I had like a mild ADHD that I worked through, and I noticed I'd bring in more trickster gods, like Hermes or like these beings, or um, and after I started to work on it and I changed my nervous system, I got more sharp. That's when I started to work with different beings. So it's really like it's a reflection of you, like what the spiritual path is really. Like everything internal gets pulled out. It's like a beam. And yeah, we gotta have a better relationship with our hormones and neurotransmitters. I have a theory that we need to speak to our dopamine, we need to speak to our testosterone, we need to speak to these cells in our body so that it's under our command and it's not just doing its own thing. And you know, of course, the body is digesting and all that, but I think it's important to connect with this.
yeah. Some people are scared of entities, and when they hear you say
Yeah.
things like, "Oh, I work with these beings," "Oh, is this guy demonic or demon worship? Why can't you just leave them alone and work with inside of yourself? And why are you letting go of your power?" What do you have to say to those people?
Yeah. You're mistaking a fire walker for someone who loves the fire. I said this little comment on a video I did with Leo as well. This woman wrote me a message like, Leo's so perfect and he's such a great individual. Don't go around wrestling with demons. And I left this huge comment. Um, what I noticed is a lot of times demons, lower entities, are evolutionary friction on your spiritual path. There's a reason that the Buddha met the demon Mara and so forth. That was a huge part of his awakening, actually. So to discriminate, dissociate, sort of be like, oh, these beings are bad, these beings are good, like you're not getting the most benefit or understanding out of it. It's just you're just classifying and being dogmatic now. I'm not saying go and start wrestling with demons. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you might come across your own inner demons throughout your life. It comes through your traumas and things like this, right? So it doesn't mean you become that. It means you heal that, you integrate that, and you make it a better part of you. Let's say that you have a demon associated with like constantly gambling. Like you keep gambling, you can't stop gambling, and you're in that loop. You need to look deeper into that, my friend. Like that, otherwise that entity is gonna just take full control and just do, lead your life down a downward spiral. So knowing that, man, I have this weird craving now, working with it, just seeing where it moves you. Like, okay, every day at like 11 a.m. I buy these little tokens or whatever online. I don't know what people do nowadays, but um, I think it's that dopamine hit still, right? Because it's that 50-50 that this guy is stuck in. That's a big part of his own shadow. So when you start imagining or speaking to like almost an aspect of you, you will change. So I don't see these entities as like outside intelligences. A lot of people do. Like these are real beings, and I'll agree. Sometimes I have experienced that they are real beings as well. I mainly see them as different aspects of my own psyche and my own mind. Because why else would they be magnetized to this journey? Um, unless there's karmic things happening, past life things, or different. There's clearly a destiny or something where these guides have conglomerated. So, have you ever noticed any weird entity moments or different things happening for you?
I hear knocking on my walls very often,
Yeah. Mm,
especially when I'm thinking certain thoughts.
mm.
Uh, yeah, but
Interesting.
I see this as
It's
like,
only around certain thoughts, like when you think of that topic, then it happens.
yeah, like I'm thinking a thought, and oh, that's a good idea. And then I hear somebody like,
Mm.
yeah, that's a good idea. But it could be the house
You sure
settling.
it's not one of my guides, bro? It sounds like Yanu's the god of doorways. Yeah, and I once remember this god locked me out of the balcony, like I couldn't get in. So I had to he gave me the task of like breaking into my own balcony to get out and escape. I was in so much stress in that moment. I was like, man, why are you giving me this challenge? Later on, I understood that it was like just to remind me to be more conscious, right? To be more mindful. Don't lock yourself out like that again. Well, it was actually a really big lesson in the moment. I just sometimes you get really reactionary and annoyed, even as people tell you something, right? Like you're like this or you're like that. You fucking want to, react back. Later on, I realized, like, wow, yeah, he was totally right. I should have been more mindful. And I think a lot of these beings will test you through difficult ways. It's not always sunshine and rainbows that they teach. Ascended masters, of course, help you irregardless. Like they don't say no. A lot of other beings also they say no. Sometimes, if you're not ready, if you're not aligned, have other beings or entities associated with you that's kind of like a chemical reaction to that other being. Like I've been around certain people and they're just reacting to me strange. I always wonder if they're like seeing the beings that I work with, or like if they're ever like really, really tapped in and they could see things around my aura. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I was once was doing a session with a client. I started noticing this like being crawling up the back of his neck, kind of coming up over his head, like looking at me. I was like, "Fuck. Okay, should I tell him this? Should I not tell him this? If I tell him this, I'm gonna be crazy, right? He's gonna be like, what the fuck?" If I don't tell him, then that's also a paradigm shifter because then he has to live with this being. So it's like, what do you do in that moment as a shaman? Um, I realize it's better to speak to him as if I'm speaking to the being too. That's kind of the midpoint that I found out of there, but I don't know if you had any suggestions for this. Like, let's say there's a very severe spiritual emergency happening when it's being taken over by being or something. How would you handle that using your technology or what you've learned right now, using the Sadhguru tech, everything? How would you tap into that
Yeah.
or help to heal that? Yeah.
I would first and foremost do this.
Mm.
This is sage. I don't light sage often. Last time I lit sage was in
I
Makara.
thought Shiva's just about to like take a drag from a joint or something. No, yeah.
No, no, no.
No, no.
This is just a very friendly, nice plant. Sage is very powerful. It's
Mm.
like spiritual tear gas, I once heard somebody say.
Yeah.
It banishes everything and everybody. Nothing can stay around except like high things. When you were talking, it was reminding me of like you and I are friends. We're both in the spiritual path, and you and I are friends because we're basically both spiritual. But if we were degenerate gamblers, we'd probably also be friends because both you and I are
Right.
degenerate gamblers. So a degenerate gambler wouldn't be friends with some love and light guy. Oh, I'm a love and light. I'm a degenerate. So if you're a gambler, you want to stay with gamblers. Similarly, spirits, they want to stay around with where you are. If you're a gambler, you're going to get gambling entities that are going to help you do that.
Right.
So, a good strategy is to simply throw some tear gas into the mix
Mm.
and just banish everything. That's a good
Right.
proactive step. I've never really done any kind of
Yeah.
exorcism, but this is a good
Mm.
proactive step you can take to banish everything and everyone.
I think sage is great. Any kind of incense is also really good, sandalwood and stuff like this. Uh, Sage, I would say definitely it's got to be done with intention. Like you got to have it in your mind. Like, yeah, this I'm gonna cleanse everything, like you said. Like, fuck all these lower entities, fucking tear gas the fuck out of them. Um, so yeah, doing it with intention definitely has a ripple effect. But then you notice like there's maybe churches around the world that burn sage that are still trapped in their own dogmatic thinking or something like this. I'm sure there are cases like that too. I'm just pointing that out to the audience. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you burn sage and how often?
Yeah. I like to do it maybe weekly, monthly. I usually I use this frankincense and myrrh spray. It's like a spray. I use that around my environment quite a lot because it balances out. Well, I got these downloads through my own path. So basically, as I went to New Zealand, this little trip, I got reminded of the Three Kings, the kind of story of the Three Kings. And frankincense and myrrh came up like as gifts to Jesus or whatever. And that was in my mind during that trip. So I came back, I purchased some. It really balanced me out. Like I wasn't too young, I wasn't too yin. It's like a good balance, a good harmony uh internally for me.
Hmm.
So yeah, I really recommend that.
What?
Also sea salt soap. That shit is incredible for aura protection. So if you get
Whoa.
some that dead sea salt soap, just use it daily on your skin.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
I will look into that. Why
Mm.
did you go to New Zealand?
So every year we go to these places that are associated with the dragon lines or the ley lines of the planet. They're called Earth chakras. So the Earth has portals, or I guess you could say magic centers of lots of energy. Um, there's a lot of mystics, magicians that tap into this and actually use those that technology. So we decided, why not? Let's learn about it. Let's go and visit all these areas. So this time we went to um, lakes over there. Like Topo and so forth, and Rotopumanu. Over there, there was like a really interesting solar plexus and sacral energy there, and we got really like just we got all the challenges done. We just came back like monsters. We got all the mana from that island probably, and it was really great, man. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was fun. This time we're going to Sedona, I believe. Sedona, Arizona.
Oh,
There's a
nice.
portal there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to New Zealand not too long, actually, just last year,
Uh,
and it's a
Man, the
very
chocolate's great, huh? The Whitakers. Yeah.
uh
Food there was interesting to me.
hmm. I enjoyed the energy of the mountains, the mountainous or the volcanic
Mm,
energy, I could say, like angry
totally.
place. That,
Very angry. Yep.
yeah.
There's also we saw skinwalkers at one point. We were in the car, myself, Ryan G, Pete Kirkwood, and we all saw like Ryan suddenly sensed, wait, are there weird energies here? Because when he closed his eyes, he saw these beings. Like that's what tends to happen sometimes when you see spirits. Close your eyes, you can get a vision, or you see it from the corner of your eyes like a shadow, or it's just like you hear some shit. So those are the three signs I use at least. Um, and then I muscle tested for it, and I was like, "Yep, this is definitely some kind of weird like skinwalker energy as we're walking, going through these abandoned buildings and shit." And then Pete Kirkwood was going, "What's wrong with these beings? I mean, there's nothing." And then Ryan started to speak out loud. We are Primal Sutra, and we are here with Pete Kirkwood. And immediately when Pete Kirkwood's name was mentioned, even he started to feel it. Oh, like what the fuck, bro? Why did you drag me under the bus? You know, like so we were all in this car tripping out, like trying to avoid these entities, these energies. Just like let's just get to location. We're all doing like invocations, chanting shit, whatever freestyle shamanism we could do on the spot. And eventually it left after we called upon some of our guides. But that was really terrifying. Yeah, it's a lot of moments where your faith gets tested. Like I remember in when we went to Costa Rica, we got completely sidetracked off the map somewhere. We went off a cliff almost, and we were in the middle of nowhere. We couldn't get the car out of the mud, so we had to we had to ask this Spanish family or I mean Costa Rican family over there um help us. You know, we use Google Translate. We're like using Google Translate to get us out of that situation, and hopefully he knew a little bit of English, the guy, the family, and he helped us out. And we saw a Christ Church over there, and Shiva's black dog, Bhairava's dog, showed up randomly and guided us to the church. And so we gave some candles over there. So the signs are all over the place. Like they're always protecting us, but we just have to stay awake, stay aware, of their presence.
Hmm.
So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, man, big convo.
I think this is a good place to finish. Um,
All right.
maybe one or two more thoughts or ideas or sentences. Yeah,
Mm,
these things are so fascinating, and this I love this energy, this occult and mystical
mm,
type energy, spirits. It's very nice.
mm, yeah. I would say I am the creator. Everything I create serves me, and the creation is complete. This is something that I've been saying to myself for the past couple of months, and it's just made everything clear for me. So if you're the creator of your own reality, you're not in that victim mode. If you are understanding that everything you create has some service to you, unconsciously or consciously, then if the movie's already finished, it's the best movie ever told, why I gotta worry about finish line? Just gotta live it.
Mm.
So a really powerful chant, incantation for me from R.L. Spina. Shout out R.L. Spina. And anything else? Oh yeah, join our mystery school, bro. If you're really interested in these topics, I can help you more. So one-on-one or two-on-one, you might get full perspective because Ryan G works more with the shadow side. I work more with the light, and we work as gray mages, gray mystics in that area. PrimalSutraMysterySchool.com or find us also. If you want some free stuff, go to spiritualmasterychallenge.com. That's where we have our 5-day challenge.
Nice, very nice.
All right.
And yes, I'll see you soon. Bye.
All right.